I
Here.
can hear you.
Oh, good.
Audio's
Oh,
working
that's
now.
we were wondering why
It
you
was
weren't.
like they're talking, their mouths are moving. I can't hear them.
Well, I'm glad you can hear. Uh, Are you the SMO from Bringalai right now?
Yeah, Los Alamos. I actually live in White Rock, which is just outside of Los Alamos. So 35 degrees right now, and it's
Oh
like,
gosh.
okay, I can stay inside, stay warm. They're working on jewelry projects right now for Christmas. So it's like, yeah, shoot, go.
That's fine. So yeah, I was. So I am the current. Of course, you know who I am. I don't know if you ever seen my face before or know me by face, but I am Edric. I am the current social media officer for the kingdom.
Mhm.
Thank you for participating in our group today. Um, Feel free to interrupt me with any questions you have if I go through when I go through my spiel here, or feel free to interject anything that you like. It's always good to hear collaboration. Even Melodia and Ethel, will please, if you have had something to share, please share it. I'm not so closed-minded that I shouldn't hear other points of view, but I like to hear what others think about this office in particular, since it's so relatively new. I think, but so please. Um, Thank you for coming in. I think my little agenda here is it's quite short, so I just want to go through a few things and make sure that I get my some of these things across for today. Uh, for the primary responsibilities for the SMO, kind of want to go through those as of course the handbook. Uh, and speaking of the handbook, the handouts for this class are inside the links in the web page. So if you go to the web page, I've placed in the social media handbook in there, as well as a social media policy in there as well as a proposed draft that's going to the Kingdom administrative policy. I don't think it's approved yet. I don't see it in the current iteration of the Kingdom policy. But Marley or Shyla, her Honorable Lady Shyla, did propose this change, and so I'm working with the Seneschal right now to see if that will be implemented. Um, but of course, like I said, the official, I'll go through the official uh, sort of the things that the SMO is responsible for. Open my window here. So I'm going to share with you the um, Kingdom of the Outman social media handbook. Of course, it's only a 10-page document. It's not very much right now. The first and foremost responsibility of the SMO is the official voice and communication for the kingdom. So you see on page 5, right there, an H there, it talks about um, being a presence and official statements for the kingdom there, and the guidelines for that. I do understand that this needs to be updated, and I am working on an update for this because this still references Google Plus, and I know that Google Plus is not a thing anymore. But I'm trying to maybe write this in or revise it in a manner that's more general instead of calling out specific things as specific pages, and calling out maybe in more general terms of the outward quote unquote face and presences of social media. So, um, you know, this is the reason why we're here, and this is the reason we're trying to help. I know there's official web pages that give those announcements out for events, and there's of course, the OH, of course, is the official place that events get posted for anything to happen officially, awards to be given, of course, and we're here to help communicate any of those things as on social media. Um, Sort of like a online hospitaler, I guess I want to say, is that you're the first people that mainly will go looking for a group is on Facebook, and they'll try to message the group, and the group will, whoever's administrator of that group will see that message, and we try to help. Now, I'll try to let the group handle those messages first. But if they go unanswered, I'll try to interject those and ask if they can, what help they need, or try to help them as best I can. But I will not go into your pages directly and interfere um, unless I feel the need to answer a question or help direct those people into an officer of that group. Of course, you need to monitor the social media posts and messages and responding them to the appropriate officer as well. And I think that everybody does a good job of monitoring right now. From what I've seen just in the few months I've been doing this, um, the pages are very clean. There was one issue more recently of online auctions, and I want to make sure that I just spoke about that in the general discussion, that SMOs really need to look out on the page for inappropriate posts. Of course, inappropriate posts or inappropriate behavior on Section G of the SMO handbook, and it tells you exactly what we're looking for here. Um, it does reference the society policies here as well. In the financial policy, it does state that online auctions are prohibited. So those are the one thing right now in our virtual world that we're dealing with, is you have to watch out for online auctions happening on the official page or even the group page. So those are not allowed. Now you can do an online auction, but it has to be on a personal page, which is fine. If you do some fundraising as an auction, just place it on a personal page, and you should be good to go. But you just can't post those to the official page or the group page of your um, barony or shire or group. We also need to make sure that the um, required disclaimers are placed on the official and unofficial sites there. The required disclaimers are in C on page 6. The branch presences, the officer presences, and the event presences. Just make sure those disclaimers are on those on the website there. They are required according to SCA policy and the handbook here. So review those. We do need a quarterly report. I know Bring Light had just submitted their quarterly report just recently. I appreciate that. Thank you for being on top of that. And those are happening every quarter on the 10th. So December 10th was our quarterly deadline date, which I posted on the Facebook group email, Facebook group discussion board, as it were. So yeah, like I said, there's not very much to this office. Just make sure that we have to. This handbook is not very big. We don't have. We try to make sure we communicate with each other. I wanted to let you know that going forward after this, starting in January, I know that I post that things need to be shared from the Kingdom side. If those posts don't get posted within 24 hours, I will go ahead and take the opportunity to do that myself on the page. I know the SMOs get busy. I know sometimes that those don't get shared, and I think they're important enough for me to warrant a 24-hour period to allow the group SMO to do it. And if they don't do it, I'll go ahead and do that myself. So just be aware that I'll be making those posts if they don't go shared within a certain amount of time. Just because I think they're important things to share going down. I wouldn't be asking you to share them if Kingdom or the SCA is asking us to share it. So just be aware of that. I'll go ahead and communicate that to the rest of the group via Facebook or via email as well. Now, I'm not, so remind me, I know that the Kingdom has a SMO email address. Does each of the groups have a social media email address? That they don't. So I think that's probably something we probably could take care of. That way I can email each of you relatively easily, because I think even the exchequers have an email address for each group. And so I think it'll probably be beneficial if the SMOs have one too, just to keep that communication up. And that was one of the questions I had for you today, was to find out whether or not, you did have that email address. For instance, Alberon's exchequer is exchequer@alberon.outlands.org. But I know that Kingdom exchequer or Kingdom level has those emails, but wanted to see if the groups did or did not. I think that kind of the online presence, the disclaimers kind of go into the appropriate behavior on your groups there. I think that the appropriate behaviors, especially in section G, there is just the stuff that we need to monitor within the official groups. And right now, I think the official groups are all set. That the pages, anyway, are set for only the admins to post on. I don't think any of the local groups are allowed to post a comment, or I'm sorry, make a new post on the group. They can comment on the page post, but I don't think they can post it, make an original post, which is good, which is monitored. On the group page, though, the unofficial group page, anybody can post there, which is fine. But you still need to monitor it. That doesn't relieve you from not making sure these things are being held. So, oh, there is one. Okay. I wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate that. Thank you, and we'll make sure that I talk to Carlos and see if that's even a good email for our smaller groups to have. I think the main thing is just following the policies. I know that the financial policy is out of our realm, but if it has to do with online, we just need to monitor or be aware that there is other restrictions and other rules to our online presence, and we just need to monitor those kind of things. So like I said, I'm new to the office. I'm still getting a feel for things, but I do have a checklist of things I need to do, especially here is taking care of this, the handbook, and making sure there's some revision there. The other thing I wanted to show you was the administrative policy that was proposed to the Seneschal. Let me pull that up real quick. I'm sorry for that. I seem to have lost the draft. I've sworn I had saved that draft. Oh, here we go. Draft edition. So let me just pull that up.
There's no one there.
Is this the one? This is not the one. Why can't I find it in my share screen?
Not the one, not the one.
It is not the one. I have it open. What is the deal?
You are the file that was. You are the file that will be.
Okay, so oh, it's corrupted. What the heck happened?
Oh no.
That's awesome.
Very much draft. Very much not usable.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. It said it's corrupted, so that is really weird. Let me see if I can open the Word version of that for you. Get rid of that. We'll try that again. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So you can see
Can
that.
you make it bigger?
Can I make it bigger?
Yeah, make the view bigger. It's hard to read.
How's that?
That didn't change. Change it in Word.
I did change it in Word.
Try the focus button down there at the bottom. That's right, next to the zoom function.
Oh, they get
Or optimally reading mode takes out all the white space, but makes it visible, or that's a word, I swear.
okay. Let me try that one more time. Share screen. Okay, can you see that?
Much better, thank you.
Yeah, that better?
Yep.
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay. So this is the draft addendum to the administrative policy of the Outlands. And really it's just these 8 paragraphs. And what we're really referring to is just making sure that these are in play. It tells about the Kingdom social media officers and deputies to the Seneschal, appointed by the Kingdom Seneschal. Local SMOs and their Seneschal should be familiar with the social media policy, which is the refers to the link back to the SCA social media policy. Now this link here takes you to a post on the SCA website, but I think I need to change that to make it to the actual link to the Kingdom's PDF version of that social media policy. So that needs to be changed.
Quick
It says
question.
Sure.
And I know this probably because it comes from the society level. Why is the social media office not tied or otherwise connected to this chronicler's office? Like you would figure that would be a communications officer. They would go together.
I had originally asked that question, but they said that it falls underneath the Seneschal since it is the voice of the kingdom. You know, the Seneschal has approval over that
That's there.
that communication. So yeah, I don't.
Anyway,
I think
I'm quibbling, I guess. I was just curious to know if there was
so. I think
explicit
the
reason.
Herald is the voice of the crown, right?
Right.
So
The social media officer publishes the words of the crown.
the social media
Quibbling.
posts the words of the official president, which is the Seneschal, right? So whatever officially approves on the business side of it is probably the reason why. But yeah, I mean, I can understand how it could probably go on either one of those. So I've been looking at the camera because I'm looking at the documents there. But yeah, I had that same question too. But I think the way the hierarchy is just the way it is right now. I can ask and get you a more developed answer, but I don't know at this point right now. It's underneath the Seneschal. The Kingdom social media officer will develop and administer the communications group for the branch SMOs and deputies who share the information. It doesn't really say the communications group of where. I think it's in general on purpose because we can set that communications group wherever we want, which is good to hear how that's set up in here in the policy. Right now, the communications group is in Facebook, and that's where I send out most of my my requests to post shares from the SCA throughout the kingdom. So that's where it is currently, which is the reason why I asked about the SMO emails for the individual groups. I think I would have been better prepared to send an email out to share things through that manner rather than on a Facebook group. But you know, trying to consolidate those lines of communications is one of my tasks. The Kingdom report to the Kingdom Seneschal is due for me on March 15th and June 15th, and September 15th and December 15th, which requires me to gather up information from the other groups, which is why the groups are due on the 10th instead. So it gives me a few days to consolidate all the information for my report, which is on the 15th. And as I just said on the right before this it tells when the reports are due for the group SMOs and how extensions are requested and by the Seneschal, approved by myself or the Seneschal. The group SMOs must notify the Kingdom or social media officer when they enter or leave office. I don't think that needs to be said, but it's here in the policy. I think that's our general rule for any office probably. Group SMOs must report as soon as possible to their local seneschal or kingdom SMO of any content they have removed, voluntary or otherwise, or if identified not following an SCA policy. Now, this is very important reporting, because I'm required to do the same on the kingdom level to the SCA SMO. If I deem something inappropriate, or if I take an action to remove a person from the official page, I have to give the reasons why, and normally it requires us to at least give some warning to that person before it even happens. A ban is kind of like, or removal is kind of the last thing to happen to a person. I haven't had any, and I haven't heard of very many from the previous SMO, Lady Shyla, of anybody being banned, but I think there was one. But they had to, they were warned, and we had to identify the exact policy they violated before we even did it. So there is some work to do there to keep track of those kind of things before we just ban somebody or remove somebody from a page. Group SMOs and their seneschals must inform the kingdom, like again, of any new media sites or groups ads once they're approved platforms or another platform altogether. So right now, the official forms of social media are Facebook. I think it does say the current handbook that we were referring to just now. It does actually state what they are: Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, Meetup, and Google Plus, which again needs to be removed from here according to this Kingdom handbook here. So
I thought Discord was on that list also.
yeah, it's not here, and that was my question to Shyla, but I think Discord came after this was approved, so that's another thing I need to add to that list there. And speaking of Discord, I need to get with you after this to discuss those privileges with you in particular for this office. So I would like to have that discussion with you and how we want to work that out. If Discord is going to be an approved platform for
Did I
social
hear
media.
correctly that Instagram was on that list or was not on that list?
It is there. It's on there. I don't know if you can see my screen right now.
I can see the group social media's officers must notify their kingdom social media officer when they leave.
Oh, how do I share this new document in front of me?
You have to unshare this one
Yeah,
and
you
then
have to stop
reshare.
sharing this one and reshare.
Oh, okay. I'll stop sharing.
Unfortunately, if you alt tab, it doesn't catch up unless you're sharing your entire desktop.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, have a look. Here it is. So you see that now?
Yes, there we go. Okay, good.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, these are current platforms. I guess I could see on my other screen what was being shared. I didn't even bother to see. But yeah, so yeah, I need to take off some things and make some adjustments there to the social media. And I know that social media is an ongoing changing thing. But I think what's important is that we consolidate the amount of places to share. Right now, we have the Outlandish Herald, which should be the official form of communication for things. I know that we have a online forum for the Kingdom website, and I've been trying to use that for the events. I've been posting the events there myself, and I've been monitoring the web forums for the Outland site there. And I think that if somebody really wants an email group, if they just subscribe to one of those forums and it gets updated, you will get an email saying that there's some new content there once you are subscribed to that. There is also the official Outlands website, which is an RSS feed as well. And I believe with the RSS feed, if you subscribe to that, it does send you some sort of communication once a new announcement is made. So there are already existing forms of email groups. If you just subscribe to those forums, I've been making a point to, like I said, post events there and post information there. I did get Carlos to add a social media section for the officers. So I'll be sending that information out soon to all the other SMOs there. That way we can have discussions there, or have other um, email discussions on those forums in particular, or send information, communications through that as well. But yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of play in today's social media right now, and I'm always looking to hear other people's thoughts on social media, um, and how this should work. Right now, we do have the handbook, which is good, but if you do have suggestions, for a change in the handbook, or what you would like to see, I am open. I have an open mind to hear your suggestions and hear how we want to go about doing this, or change how we do things. As long as it's in line with the SCA's social media policy, I think we should be okay. Of course, anything we need to change in our own policy has to be approved by the SCA. Social media office as well before we even implement those things. But the handbook, I think, is something that we need to revise currently. Go through my agenda. So like I said, the handouts are in the link to the schedule here. If you'd like to go see the handbook, the administrative policy, hopefully the policy that I uploaded to the handout section of the website is not corrupted. Let me go check really quick, because that would be awful if that one was corrupted too. And if it is, I'll just make sure to re-upload it. Let's see. It's corrupted. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna I'll upload the Word version of it there, and then you all can see it. Okay, it is up there. So it is all shared in the handout section of the website there, and you should be able to see it. Again, I would like this to be an open discussion with this right now. Do you have any questions going forward about anything I've said? And I think that, I'll go ahead and stop sharing this real quick. And I think Ethel had Petronella, I think that those files are in the SMO group as well. I think they're already in that group, but I would like to use the online forum to post that information as well. There is also links in the Kingdom website on the SMO page with all those documents in the library there on the Kingdom page.
So, not being actually a part of this office, it looks to me like you guys have two jobs. One is to get information out, and the other one is to make sure everybody's playing nice. And I think that second one might be the hardest.
It can be, yes. There are some times where I've noticed some posts there, but the group SMOs really do a good job right now of monitoring that, and I've even gotten messages that they know in particular which members they need to watch out for, and they're aware of their own members. Everybody is aware of who posts what and what their opinions are. So they monitor really closely. I take a cursory review. Now, if I catch something, and I'll bring it to their attention first, like I said, I won't try to interfere immediately, but I'll point it out to the SMO and give them the opportunity to fix it first before I intervene. That's really, I hate to step on toes, and I want the groups to monitor their own pages and their own posts, and they do a really good job so far. What I've seen is, they do a really good job. I haven't had to intervene much. I've had questions come to me about removing people from pages, but I've had to go back to the policy and remind them that we have to do the warnings and kind of do the process before that happens.
And it is kind of a little bit subjective. So do you have like a guideline of what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate?
Yeah, the handbook really kind of identifies that. The political, I'll go through those real quick.
And similarly, is there an escalation policy? Like if someone says the SMO is the one who is the problem, is there a way? I mean, would it be the Kingdom SMO who would step in, or would it be someone local to go, hey,
If
the
a
wolf, get
local
off
person,
Instagram, stop that.
no, if a local person complains to me about a local SMO, then I'll absolutely look into the matter and find out what's going on, and then take appropriate action. But yes, there's not an escalation policy, but they do require us to at least warn people of their actions and cite what they're violating before we even take a removal action, so that they have the opportunity to there's kind of a due process. I guess that's what it is. It's due process for that individual before we just remove them, and just dismiss them. There's a due process there. We make sure that they understand what they are violating before we just remove them. They might not understand, but we give them that opportunity first. The content or the guidelines you're talking about, isn't that in the SMO handbook? Content involving politics, political subjects, particularly activity that may interpret it as endorsement or of a particular political party, candidate, or political office, legislation, referendum, content that broadcasts false or misleading information, including content which is intended for disparage, intimidate, or negatively impact the reputation of an individual, branch, or group. Content that reviews information that is considered confidential to the SCA, which includes financial information, internal proceedings that are not meant for public distribution, content that distributes material under a copyright that has not otherwise been authorized for distribution with appropriate attribution. I want to talk about that a little bit, because there is, if you are going to post photos or if people are going to post photos, if it's their own personal photos, I think that's okay on Facebook. But if you're using somebody else's pictures, you need to have them release that to you. Just like if I'm going to give a photo for the website of myself, I had to sign a release to say, yeah, that's okay to use my photo on the website, and just make sure that that's in place, because that is part of SCA policy for media releases.
So fighter practice selfies, where we've got 15 people in the background and we're using the Baron's phone and we're posting it to the Blademan Instagram account.
Yeah, so we got to be a little bit careful. I know that if it's your own personal, you're sharing it on your own page, that's your thing. But to me, clarification needs to be had in this particular handbook. I agree. There's some things that there's gonna be some questions on. There's some gray areas that you have a selfie there. I normally don't post anything about myself doing something, but I have posted pictures of SCA Crown Tournament. So how do we handle those kind of things? Did you have a question, Pedro?
I was just going to say that when that came up previously, because of Crown Tournament and things like that, I'd spoken with Shyla, and if you are in a public place that you can be recorded,
right.
You should expect that you're going to end up on Facebook. And that's the way that works legally. And if you're taking a photo from someone else, you should at least credit their photo.
Right. Well, and this is definitely, particularly using the Blademan fighter practice selfie. That was definitely, hey, we're taking a selfie for Instagram. Like, we're obviously saying this is what we were doing. Here's what we're doing. If you don't want to be in the picture, don't stand behind the camera. And it's pretty clear. And there were a few folks who didn't get in the picture as well. But like, there were also soccer players who were not any way, shape, or form related to the SCA that were kind of in the background.
And legally, that's, it's a public place.
Right. Yeah, we were out on Johnson Field, so it wasn't like we were doing this in anything.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I did forget about that conversation. We did have that conversation, but yeah, thank you for reminding me. Going on to the other guidelines of what to watch out for: content that involves potentially lewd or offensive material, and of course that is the discretion of the SMO, the group SMO. if there's any dispute about that, then I can step in and help resolve those issues if they ever get to that point. But I think that the SMOs can identify what's lewd and what's offensive on their own, and I'm not gonna babysit the SMOs. I think they do a good job already, and will help monitor those if they need my help to identify or to interpret that. Content that is otherwise disallowed by existing SCA policy, that's where the online auctions thing comes into play in this particular part right here, since it's disallowed by SCA policy, which is why we have to kind of monitor those things and not allow those things to happen as a guideline. So really, those things there are your guidelines in the handbook, which is good. To have at least some way to identify what to look for on your pages.
So I wanted to hop back a topic too and mention that CARTA did have to come up with conflict resolution policy a while back for social media. And if you'd be interested in looking at that as you draft it for the kingdom, I'd be happy to send you a copy of our handbook.
Yes, please. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Anything helps. If I don't have to recreate the wheel, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. We should all help each other out on this.
Absolutely. Yes.
It is such a new office that, you guys are having to kind of figure it out on the fly sometimes.
Most of the time.
I do want to say that for events, normally I will get the email submission when they do it online, that form that people fill out for the OH, that gets CC'd to me as well. So once that email notification comes to me, I had been going ahead and posting that event on your page, on the individual pages, and then making the kingdom the host. But I need to gauge whether or not I should let the SMOs do that themselves, or since I get the notification anyway, does it really matter if I forward that on? Again, more so the process of how these things work. This office is relatively new, and I like the SMOs to have the first opportunity to make any posts for their group, and not me having to do it, for them. But we can have that discussion on the group forum. But I would really like it if you had the first opportunity to post those things yourselves, and then if need be, I can come in and help and make those posts if it needs to be shared.
I want to follow up with you on that one here after the class.
Sure. Does Goliath have a SMO right now?
Oh,
Does-
actually, I'm going to be speaking for Bladewind.
Oh,
But
okay.
this is actually more specifically directed towards the Alberon Midwinter event and just administration in general about that, but it's not directly germane to the existing
Okay.
class. No, but Bladewind has a Facebook group for members, so it's not restricted to students, and we have a Instagram page, and that's it. And it's really run by myself and Brynolf.
Okay. Yeah.
More run by Brynolf than it is by myself, and that's because I think we're the only two.
So Steve, if we're talking about Bladewind, I do want to say as a side note, I am a current student of UNM, so I could be considered a SCA part of that group. If you need numbers, I'd be happy to join you on that side.
I don't think we need numbers. We just need bodies.
People to help. You need people to help.
Yeah, and really, it's coming down to we need bodies to do things, but also we need things to be done. So I mean, the whole everything's virtual and nothing's local. There isn't much to do, so good, but also there's not much going on, so we're just having issues.
Well, I'm happy to help as long as I'm a student there. I'm happy to participate if I need to in those activities and help if you need.
Thank you. As to Goliath, I do not believe Goliath has an SMO. I think the closest they've got is Amy, who is just sort of busy posting stuff, but I don't think she's doing it officially, and it's not like anything she's doing in an official group. I think we have like Blade when there is a a group of
page or
Facebooky
group,
people,
yeah.
but I don't think there's a page that is like the Goliath page.
I did notice there was a Bladewind group, but not a page.
Correct. We just
right.
haven't administered one yet.
Yep. Is there any other questions that you have for me? I really don't have much more except for some Seneschal questions that she asked me to ask the group SMOs at this point. Is there any other questions regarding my short presentation? If not, then I'll go ahead and go on to ask the questions that our Seneschal is looking for guidance on. She is also relatively new to this, or she's really new to this, her position. So she's making an effort to ask the officers and the volunteers who are in these positions about their needs and what they think needs to or what they would like to see changed in those offices, so that she can have an idea of what she wants to do going forward in her office, in her capacity. So the first question is to the group SMOs is what the concerns you might have, you might have in your current position or with the SMO office in particular right now, or as we go forward. I know we're really new, but but what are your pressing concerns you have currently?
Nothing directly. I mean, mostly it's just making sure we're following all of the appropriate policies, and for the most part, we have not been trying to make any official pronouncements via social media. We try and put all that stuff through the barony, actually. So for Bladewind at least. So that's been convenient. But we may look at expanding that further.
Okay. I know in the beginning, I know I wasn't part of it, but there was some confusion about how the Kingdom social media's role was as opposed to their group social media role was. But I think that's kind of been cleared up. I think everybody's on the same page right now. I think there was confusion in the beginning, but not now. Is that a fair thing to say to the groups?
I feel it's been a lot better in the last year and a half than it was previously.
Okay. Okay, I'll go on to the next question if there's no other pressing concerns. What do you think needs to be done to make things run better when we reopen? I think it's a reopen question. I think since we're in a virtual kind of realm, this is kind of our bag right now, right?
I can't even think that far ahead right
Yeah,
now.
I know. It's positive thinking though. Positive thinking. When we reopen, what can we do to make our offices better? So yes, I'm open to.
Oh, I was just thinking, just a understanding a common communication policy, and I think this is just something I've been harping on about in a number of different forums, to be able to understand how do we communicate what is the Outlands, what is the Alberon, what is the group's official stated policy on whatever it is going forward, whether it's a response to the differences between Colorado and New Mexico's opening structures, and Albuquerque is green, but Rio Rancho is still yellow. So if you can't come to fighter practice if you're from Rio Rancho, or things along those lines, like how do we get that information out, and how well can that be coordinated with social media as well as Chronicler and all the other methods of getting the information out there? So having a communications policy.
I think I agree on that. I think first of all, we have, in my own opinion, we have too many options for communication. I think Alamanda kind of spoke, and I tend to agree with her that we try to communicate as much as we can, but there has to be some responsibility on the person to go looking for information as well. I think the official OH is a good place to look for information. And I think from there, then we can use social media to help communication, but it shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to make more venues of communication just to get 100% of people to
and
get
and
that.
that I understand.
Yeah.
More the issue is timely information. The concern is, yeah, the OH is the end all and be all. That's great. The December issue of the OH came out on the second weekend of November. If we are going to be publishing anything about something happening the last weekend of November, or of December rather, that happens the first weekend of December, how do we get that information out? If we say go to the OH, well, that's already going to be out of date. That's already wrong. So where do we have this sort of timely information that needs to come out? Because things change quickly in this current age.
Absolutely.
And how do we make that move forward?
I think the other issue is that groups thinking far enough ahead to post in the OH months ahead of time. I think Alberon does a good job with posting things or planning things far enough ahead. Maybe not, I don't know. But I think thinking about posting those things in advance, months in advance, can help that matter. But I think that we need to utilize the Outlands Forum for those updates, like you said, to get timely information out of you. You know, if you're a subscriber to that event forum, and that gets updated, then you'll get an email or a notification saying that, you know, there is a new post here with new information.
If I could interject here, I wear two hats with our group. I am not only the social media person, I'm also web minister. And I was on the web minister call this morning, and what you guys are talking about right now is something that was brought up with the web minister group about getting the information out in a timely manner, and with not so many people having to handhold it through all the steps. You know, you click on Kingdom clicks approve and it goes out. But, you know, just like you said, you know, we're getting information at the last minute or, you know, the morning of, and that's not helping our people at this point. I'm seeing, you know, attitudes flare. Everybody's tired of the COVID, you know, everyone's staying, you know, tired of staying at home. And so online on Facebook, I'm seeing tempers flare from individuals that normally don't, you know, they're level headed. And I think if they knew well in advance that these online virtual events are happening in an appropriate amount of time, I think that would definitely help the situation. So I think that we're going down the right path on making sure that the information is out there and that it's not, oh, by the way, we have this thing going on tomorrow. You know, there's plenty of time to get, you know, all the ducks in a row as to what they want to participate in, so that when it is come time to reopen the state to SCA events, in-person events, that, you know, not everyone is like, oh my God, look what I said online and that type of thing. We come back as, you know, long lost family, and we, you know, just go from there.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it definitely, I was trying to think of how events we communicated even before the age of internet. And I think the OH was probably the only thing that helped people identify what events were happening. Now, if there was, well, right, in the website, but aside from that, what happened when there was a last minute change? How did that get communicated out back then? So I mean, I think we have all these.
And we all showed up to
Yeah.
the site and went, what the heck? There's 12 feet
Yeah.
of snow.
Badly,
Yeah,
badly.
Yeah.
It got
So I think-
communicated badly.
Well, yeah, and that comes down to the reason why I was
Yeah.
curious as to why the social media office is part of the Seneschalate and not the chronicler. Is that if the chronicler is the public information officer, why is SMO part of the president's office? And so, being able to coordinate between those two communications, like when something needs to go up on the website, if the OH is the point of contact, announce that well so that everyone knows, look, go to the OH, that's got the most information, updated information. And if you need the website, we can keep things there. But like to be able to keep that communication flow, particularly when things change quickly, like the Viking Winter Wonderland up in Arkell, where there was literally too much snow, no one could go. So we have to cancel all of the alcohol things because we're moving it to Tigger's school. And how was that communicated? Well, before it wasn't. I mean, it was, did you get to the Facebook page or not? But
Well, I think people
knowing
call
things-
each other on the phone back then and say, "Hey, this thing has moved." My friends that I know are coming, communicated by word of mouth back then. Now we have social media involved, but a lot of people don't like social media. So how do we cater to them? And I think that the Outlands Forum is the next thing to use. I think that's helpful.
And again, I get, yes, having a point and advertising it well is all well and good. The Outlands Forum isn't exactly phone friendly. So again, if we're updating the event information and I get an email on my phone saying someone posted something to the forum, but I'm already on the road, like, again, trying to think of other ways. And again, I know that the web ministry is thinking about that, which is why I think it's good that the chronicler's office, the web minister's office, and the social media's office should all be involved in that communication. But because they're all different overarching groups, there's not necessarily that direct connection right off the bat. Like web minister is part of chronicler, social media is part of Seneschal. And so getting the two of them together would be helpful, I think.
Like, even to complicate things even further, they're inside the officers or deputies is also a kingdom calendar person who so there's another level of persons involved in all this. So I mean, we're already complicated. I think we're very complicated with getting communications out in the first place, and I'm just trying to hear how we can consolidate that into more specific realms of specific communication where people know exactly where exactly to go to get a piece of information, even if it's an update.
I think the SCA has a tendency to add, not change. That's why we have a chronicler, a web minister, a social media for communication.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that overlapping duties is becoming a thing now. I was very confused at first how I was involved in putting the event up into Facebook when I thought that, well, there's a Kingdom calendar, but we do need to get the information out for those who do use Facebook, which is a lot of people. A lot of people do use it. I get it, but there's some people that don't, and I'm trying to get as much information out as I can in a timely manner, and I'm trying to do it as best as I can, and hopefully the SMOs will be amenable to help, get that stuff out.
I did want to make a point about the questions that Christina asked you guys to ask. These questions were actually created before they extended to May. So they were more relevant when we might be opening in February, but now they're not as relevant because we're not going to be opening until at least June.
Well, she did want the questions to be asked just because she wants to prepare for that, have some time to prepare for those openings if it is in June. So yeah.
Yeah, but we have no idea what the social situation is going to be in June. We really don't know.
Right, but she still wants to be prepared. She still wants the questions answered. So I'm going to ask the questions.
Well, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay, the last question is, what training do you think you need or the populace needs for your office, if any? We're new, right? We discussed guidelines for what to look for, what to monitor, and what to do, but I'm sure there's some things that we could probably improve going forward.
One thing that we've repeatedly had to educate our populace on is private events and how those need to be created and advertised. So that's probably something to think about. I know it happens in other baronies, but we had quite a run of it for a while. So
Yeah,
that as we get ready to start back up might be something to think about.
I think the Seneschal is aware of that discussion. We just talked about that, I think, in the open discussion room just right before this, and there was a little bit of discussion of how those events are communicated and advertised as well. So yeah, so absolutely, I can add that to the plate here.
The other thing that we've had to do is educate our autocrats on how to get information to us in a timely manner. Those are the two things that I can think of in the last year that have been an issue.
So autocrats to the SMO in particular, or
Yeah.
okay.
It's a new pipeline of information that they have to learn.
That is in fact the question I have for the social media officer as the autocrat going, oh, what did I do wrong?
So I think the process needs to just include the SMO, because right now, how I understand the way official events are placed is that they get a calendar, a tentative calendar date, and they submit the event to the Seneschal, and once the Seneschal approves that, then I think maybe the SMO needs to get involved somehow when the OH is posted. That way we know when that.
Yeah, and the Kingdom SMO should be getting copied on that, but if it could be then relayed to the baronial SMO in some fashion. I don't know that every baronial SMO needs everything that you're getting, but I don't know how people feel about that, but it's something I can help facilitate.
And that's the reason why I wanted to ask about SMO emails, because once I get that email, I would really like to just forward that off to the group SMO for that particular event and say, here's the event, it's been approved, go ahead and post it.
Yeah,
and that way, that way you would know to go ahead and do something at that point.
Officially, we are at time, but we do have a 15-minute passing window between now and the next event.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Edric, for presenting this information. Hopefully, it'll be well received. And I think, just back on a personal, not moderator zone, I think just basically knowing that it's out there and getting it baked into all of our existing policies. Like, for example, I use the Alberon event creation policy that was written by Melodia before there was a social media office. So therefore, none of the talk to the social media officer is in there. There's talk to Chronicler, talk to the OH. But again, it's just because this is new enough. It's not out there yet. The more folks learn about it, the more folks they'll know about it, and the more it'll get, the more integrated it'll be going forward.
I think what we can do is probably make the change in the handbook so that we don't have to interfere with other offices and their process. Maybe they mention us, but I think to have a change in the handbook will be helpful for us to see where the process goes once Kingdom gets it, and then from there, what happens. I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, when the Seneschal is picked for Alberon, I may say, hey,
you might want to revise that.
I have the original files.
Yeah, that's good. And I can help you with that. I mean, since we're in the same place. So
at least we have a policy. It's better than not having a policy and going, hey, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. We're pretty good. I think the Kingdom has done a really good job with implementing policy and having some processes in place like the handbook. Although it already needs to be updated because social media is a changing thing. It's going to always change. So technology is ever changing. But I appreciate the participation and thank you for your comments. And thank you for being here and listening to me drill along about social media stuff. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and end the recording here.
What was that?